Good morning, everybody. Happy Good Friday to you all. Hope you all doing well. It's daggum chilly when I got up this morning. Man, it was cold in the house because it gets up so warm in the daytime. I turn the air on, and I didn't even think about maybe needing the heat at night, but got down in the 40s last night, so it was a little nippy around here when I got up this morning, but it's all good. It's all good. Joanne says that that should be the last of the stuff. No more chance of frost. So if you're gonna plant stuff, get out and do it. So I think we're over most of the cold stuff anyway. We'll see. Let's see who we got hanging out here today. We have John Howard. Good morning, John. Mr. LB Sharp. Good morning, sir. Darren Birds. Happy Friday to you, sir. Happy Good Friday. It's Good Friday. Larry Gaunt says, good morning, everyone. TGIF and happy Good Friday. Dave, you've inspired me to dust off the 3D machine and make something useful. Well, hot diggity. That is fantastic. I always like, if I do something, somebody says, hey, you inspired me to do this or that, I'm always happy to, as long as it's a good thing. And I think that's probably a good thing. But well, good. Maybe we can, you and I can push each other to uh, make useful stuff with our 3D printers and get really good at Design Spark Mechanical, because that's my biggest goal right now. Learning that to where I can feel comfortable, sit down and draw pretty much anything like I used to be able to do with SolidWorks. I probably still could. Like I said, I know I'd be rusty, but there's not anything somebody could set in front of me that I would say, well, I don't know, I wouldn't know how to draw that. I could really go in SolidWorks. So I hope to get to that level in with Design Spark Mechanical, but we'll see. Monroe Cook, good morning, sir. Wilson Rubottom's here. Thomas Grimm is here. Good morning. Lou Thomas. Good morning, Lou. Hope you're doing well. There's Clyde. How you doing, Clyde? Hope everything's well where you're at. Sean is here this morning. Good morning. Kevin is here. Good morning, Kevin. George Rumpus. Good morning, all. TGIF we are having a windy and rainy Good Friday. George says it's 46 on my deck facing south. Heck, it's not. Let me look at what this thing said, because it was 40 something just a minute ago when I looked at it. In fact, I just asked. Let's see, what is this? Okay, I guess it's saying 50. That's probably if you're standing out in the sun. But yeah, it got down to about low 40s last night. George says, Dave, are you doing an unboxing show? No. I have done a unboxing video on that exact same printer, only it was back in 2018. So if you want to see an unboxing on a 3D, an Ender 3 3D printer, you can go check that one out. But now it's setting, well, you can't see it, it's setting right behind me here. I've already put it together yesterday, ran a little test print, and all is well. It's running like a champ, just like I figured it would. Clyde says he's downloaded Sparks Design Spark. Yeah, Design Spark Mechanical. That's what it is. Good, Clyde. I hope you'll join us in learning that. Well, maybe we'll start having Design Spark Mechanical hangouts, and we'll try to have our own little training session where we teach each other stuff or whatever. That might be a good idea if anybody's up for that. Leo's here. Good morning, Leo. Hope you're having a good day. I don't see him in here, but yesterday Jesse was in here and we were talking about, he reminded me that I actually had made something useful with a 3D printer. When he reminded me that I made that fan for his compressor. So I thought, well, I doubt if it's on this computer, because I know I made that way before I bought this computer, but I thought, well, I did transfer a lot of files from the old one to this one, so I'll look. And sure enough, I found it. The drawing, I'll share the screen here, the drawing that I sent Jesse to approve, to before I made it. But this is kind of based off the sketch that he sent me. But and I made it out of black PLA. I don't really remember which machine I used. I don't remember if I think I used the Creality CR10, but I'm not positive. I might have used the Ender 3. But anyway, that was, I'm glad he reminded me of that, because that was one of the things that I had forgotten about, so I can actually say, yeah, I did make something useful. And apparently it's still working for him. So that's awesome. LB says, I have used an old version of SketchUp for years, been wanting to learn FreeCAD, but too lazy to learn. I know sometimes it's, because I use SolidWorks for years and it's great stuff, but it's not something you can have, like the version I have, it's old. So I haven't updated. It's like 2012. So it's old, and I certainly cannot afford, because SolidWorks is high dollar stuff, so I can't afford to say, yeah, I want to upgrade my seat and get new seat, because I don't use it. I wouldn't use it enough. So I need something that's free, and that's why I'm really leaning towards this Design Spark Mechanical, because I think it's gonna work great for me if when I finally get a little more proficient at it. But I've tried SketchUp. There's just something about SketchUp, and everybody brags on that. It's so easy and all this stuff, and I don't know. It just didn't click with me. And when I did draw something, I'm like, yeah, I don't really like the way you have to do stuff. So it was so different than Solid. Once you use SolidWorks, or a high dollar package, like, well, even before Fusion 360. It was the Autodesk was AutoCAD Inventor, which is comparable to SolidWorks, and then of course they changed it, and now they call it Fusion 360. But anytime you use a high dollar software package like that, and you have your company that you work for, they send you to the training, so that you get the training by the experts that know how to do it, and you learn the right way to do everything. It's just hard to use something else if you've ever done that, because everything else just doesn't measure up. But I'm going to be sticking with this Design Sparks Mechanical. I really like it. It says, Can Sparks Works? I don't know where y'all get Sparks Works. It's Design Sparks Mechanical is what I'm talking about. I don't know what Sparks. Anyway, It's can it create movable parts like testing and drawing? I don't know that it'll do that. Yeah, I suppose it could, but it would be different than say SolidWorks or Fusion 360. I'm pretty sure, but I know you could still do it. But as long as um, as long as you don't put the constraints and stuff on it, like with SolidWorks, like you can put if you want to move something, say you're making a hinge, well, you might mate it. They call it mating in SolidWorks, where you put a constraint where you put these two ends flush, and then you put it concentric to uh, the center of the hinge, but then you don't put that last constraint on it. You can move the hinge back and forth. In fact, when I do I can't show you because I don't have SolidWorks on this computer, but if I was to pull up my Gatton CNC, I could grab the Z axis and move it up and down, and I can move the carriage back and forth across the X, and I can bring the Y back and forth too. All of that will move just like it would in a machine. Wilson says, so you have to have third-party software for your printer. Actually, Wilson, it came with this little thing here. And if you look at that slot on the end of it, you put the little micro SD card. It's empty right now because the SD card is over there in the printer. And then this separates. So you put your SD card in that end, and this is just USB. And what I did 4 years ago when I did the Ender 3, it had the little slot where you stuck the SD card. There was a gap above it. It was just poor sheet metal work is what it was. They made that slot too big, so there was a gap above where the SD card goes. Well, if you're not careful, you push it in that gap, and then the card falls back inside there. And guess who did that? I did. So by the time I fished that SD card out, it would not work. So this time, when I saw that it came like this, before I ever put it into the printer over there, I stuck it on this computer and copied the whole contents of this micro SD card and put it on this printer. And it had the manual. It had like the assembly manual, if you want to call it that. The assembly manual was pretty lame, I have to say. But then it also had the software, since that's a Creality product made by Creality, they have what they call Creality Cura, which is Cura is a free slicing program, and then everybody kind of takes it and makes it their own. But that's the software that I'm using or I should say will be using. I haven't used it because when I ran this little test piece, this is their little dog thing. It was on that disc, and I don't know how good this is showing up in there, but it just came out perfect. It's really smooth. But that was just G code. So I would have to look at the G code. I don't even know what settings they use. They always send, there was like 3 of them. They had a cat, a dog, and a pig. And the file for this one said dog 2.5H. So the cat said 3H and the pig said 4H. So I kind of thought, well, maybe they're telling you that 2.5H, maybe that means it's going to take 2.5 hours. Well, again, it's all their G code. So I didn't create any settings or speed or anything. I just ran it just like they said. This is, that's what you do to run a test. And it took just 3 hours and 2 minutes, I think. to run this. And something else I might add, I don't know if you can see it, but right there, right above my finger, if you can barely see that little white thing, the extruder for the 3D printer is right behind that piece of 8020 or whatever that is, 2020, whatever that is. And I stuck that out there because when they send you a printer like this, they only give you a little dinky amount of filament. So they had a little bit of white filament, just, like they'd pulled some off a spool and wound it up and wire tied it and then sealed it and stuck it in there. So I put that in there. But the reason I'm pointing it out is when it finished, and this was the quickest one of all the little test programs they had on that car. There is, I took my tape measure, there's like 7 inches of filament left from that extruder to there. And of course, the rest of it's in the Bowden tube, but it wouldn't run. Once you get past those gears that's pushing it, it wouldn't go. So I was within 7 inches of filament of not even be able to finish this. So they barely give you enough to finish a thing. And I remembered that from when GearBest sent me that Ender 3-4 years ago. I remember, and I think I was running the same dog, or maybe it was something different. Maybe it was a cat. I can't remember. Anyway, it was about twice as big as this. And I remember the filament that they sent with it ran out, and I'd only got up to about his head, and I had to take some black filament and put in there to finish it. I think that was the one, but yeah, they don't give you a whole lot of filament to get started with. But I do have that box right back there. I bought a box of filament. That's just kind of a gray looking, just a generic, I didn't want anything pretty because like I said, I'm going to be trying to make parts that are useful. So they don't have to be pretty. So I bought that. And of course, one of those spools lasts a good while. Let's see. LB says, Wilson, I think the CAD software. Okay, now when you say third party, okay, maybe that's what you're talking about. The Design Spark Mechanical, which is a 3D modeling software, that's what I will be using to create the model and then save it as an STL. And then that's what you bring into the slicer program to use with the printer. Let me see if I can. I got time? Yeah, I got time. Let me see if I can pull that up here. If I can find where I put it. I think it's on my desktop, maybe. I'm getting so much stuff on this computer now. I have to. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to open up the Creality Slicer and I'll move it over here and show y'all. Okay, so this is the slicing program. Yeah, it says Creality Slicer, but it's basically like Cura, which is a free stuff. Let me see if I can pull something in here. Let's see. We'll load a model file. Yeah, here's everything that was on that card. See, they had a cat, and it said, this says 3.5H, so I assumed that was 3.5 hours. The dog says 2.5H. So I thought, and I'm looking at the file size too, and then they have a pig, which says 4H, and it's even big. Well, no, it's not. It's only about half as big as that. So I'm not sure. Apparently that is not what I thought it was. But they have stuff in here, like when you click on this monkey. These models here are STL files. So this is what it would look like when you pull this in, and then this little thing here, when it gets all done, it will tell you what the approximate time is based on the speeds and stuff that you have set. So you can see that to do this little thing with this monkey, it says it would take 6 hours and 37 minutes. And it also tells you how much filament you should need, 24.33 meters in 73 grams. So, and I don't know how accurate those are. I usually don't pay much attention to that. I usually just know that I have a big spool on there and it will be enough to do it. But yeah, that's the slicer that they sent with it. And if they hadn't sent one, which I don't remember them sending one before, I just downloaded the Cura that's free online, and it's a slicer. He says, "Do you use Cura?" Well, this is kind of like Cura. It's Creality's version of Cura, but I used it before when I had the other two. And George says, "What filament? PLA?" Yeah. I'm just using the PLA stuff. It's probably one of the easiest to run and readily available everywhere online. So, looks like you need the wire management track. You can 3D print. Okay. Are you talking about? Because I'm not sure what you're talking about back there. There's not a whole lot of wire management. I mean, you can, but they sent some wire ties with the thing. But I mean, there's not that big of a range of movement on that machine because it's not that big. So Wilson says any design software can be used to create an object. Yeah, and that's why I'm going with, I think you can do it in SketchUp or Fusion 360 or SolidWorks or all kinds of stuff. As long as you can do a save as, you draw up the model and then am able to save as or export it as an STL. That's what you bring into your slicer to use for 3D printing. So, and my thing now will be Design Spark Mechanical. That's what I'm planning on using for drawing up my stuff. My Bart Bixel's in the house. Good morning, Bart. How are you doing? Man, I don't think I finished telling y'all about the trees. The other day, I don't remember what day it was. I don't remember what day it was. Monday or Tuesday, whatever. They all fall together now. But yeah, I was telling you how there was guys over there. They cut that big sweet gum tree down, and after it hit the ground, they pulled the cables off of it and hopped in their trucks, and they was gone. Well, I thought, wow, they're just going to leave it for what's his name to clean all of that. Well, I was wrong because right after the coffee sessions ended, I looked out there. I heard some noise coming down the street, and I looked down here. Them two trucks come back, and they cut two more big, tall pine trees. So when I lean back and look out my office window here across the street, the skyline view is a little bit different, but there's still some big pine trees. It's just they're just as tall. They're just not as big around. So I don't know if he's going to eventually have those taken out or not. They didn't come back yesterday. So I'm assuming they're done. I don't know, but I posted pictures on Facebook. You could see, man, that dude was way up there. That thing sitting there swaying back and forth. I'm like, not me, buddy. I get dizzy just getting up on a step ladder. But yeah, he climbed up there and they wired, somehow they have a cable running. They hook his chainsaw and then they'll pull it when once he gets up there and gets situated, they pull that cable and the chainsaw comes up there and then he has it on like a 6 foot thing, I guess, hooked to his belt. So whenever he gets done, he shuts it off and then it just hangs until he gets in position to cut another one. But it's pretty interesting to watch him. That's some tough work right there. Let's see. LB says, I made some plates for my CNC with nylon X, 1/4 inch thick, and replaced my aluminum parts. Very strong and much lighter. Okay. Well, first thing that pops into my head, you know me, I'm old sheet metal guy. If you had aluminum parts and they were working, why did you feel the need to replace them? Because the other parts are certainly lighter, but they're probably not stronger than aluminum. So, just wondering. 0.25, yeah, that's 1/4 inch, sure is. You talking to a decimal guy here. I know my decimals. I may not know millimeters, but I mean, I know a few of those. But one thing, let me show Clyde something. Clyde and Larry, since they were talking about the Design Spark. Don't know if you know this. Maybe you already know it. But let's say you want to draw something. And this is a good example because most of the stuff when you're using a 3D printer and a slicer, it's usually all millimeter stuff. So they like the metric stuff. But say you're like me and you prefer to draw in imperial measurements. Well, what you can do is you can set the Design Spark mechanical up to be millimeters. And then instead of when you go to draw something, go, I know I want 3 inches, but I don't know what that is in millimeters. So I'll take a calculator and okay, it's 76.2. So I put 76. What you can do is you can just, if you have it set for millimeters in Design Spark Mechanical, you can draw something. And then when you go to put in a dimension, you can put 3.125 IN. And when you hit enter, that automatically converts it to millimeters. So you can still technically draw in millimeters, even though you're thinking in inches. It's just you have to remember that extra step to put IN in the bottom. And it also works the other way too. If you have it set up where you're drawing in inches, but the sketch you're looking at or whatever is in millimeters, you can put, 100.8 mm. And if your thing is set up for inches, it will convert that to whatever that is, 4 inches and something. So, okay. George says, wait a minute here. Wilson says, I watched some of the videos on Design Sparks and it looks like this old man could learn to use it. Some are like trying to learn a foreign language. Yeah. Well, so many people, I don't want to sound like I'm knocking a product, but so many people like Fusion 360. as an old SolidWorks user, I have never liked Autodesk products, and Autodesk is AutoCAD, AutoCAD Inventor, or was it whatever it was, something Inventor, Fusion 360. All of those are Autodesk products made by the same company. I've just never liked the way they lay out their stuff and all that, but it's because I learned SolidWorks years ago, and that's what I was used to. But and a lot of folks will say, well, SolidWorks is free if it's free for the hobbyists and all that. But there's a lot of things I don't like. One, maybe you can call it free, but there's a difference. You have to do everything online, and somebody I think told me that there's like a limit. So when you start drawing, if they go, wait a minute, this guy's claiming he's using this as a hobbyist, but he's drawing 200 projects a month or something, there's something go. So, and they know whatever you're doing because you're having to do it online. Well, Design Spark Mechanical is free, and you're not online to use it. It's right here on your computer. And I like that because it's not that I'm drawing anything that's, super private, but just like everything else, not everybody needs to know everything you do. you know, you know. So I never liked the online stuff, but anyway, I think it'll work fine. Okay, LB says I built my machine, rebuilt his machine bigger and taller. Okay. George says, what 3D printer are you using? That is a Creality Ender 3. The basic Ender 3, not there's like an Ender 3 V2 and Ender 3 Pro. It's there's different models. That's the entry level Ender 3, I guess is the best way. Clyde says he still can't find his 10 millimeter wrench. Well, you can 3D print you one, Clyde. Okay. George says, my brother loves the technical Fusion 360. He used to build apron. Yeah. And see, that's the thing. The Fusion 360 and SolidWorks and a couple of other brands, they're great things, but there's a reason why they cost thousands of dollars for one seat. Is because they do so many things. And for somebody like me who just wants to make model some 3D things to put on his printer and make something useful, it's Fusion 360 or SolidWorks is really way overkill. I just need something like this Design Spark Mechanical that is got enough features that makes it easy to use, but it doesn't have to do everything like SolidWorks. Wilson, see, that's the way it is. There's really, in the industry, most of the time there's two types of people. There's AutoCAD users, and then there's SolidWorks users. And usually if you're a SolidWorks user, you don't like AutoCAD, and if you're an AutoCAD worker or user, you don't like SolidWorks. So it's kind of like that Ford Chevy thing. George says, I like the price point. Yeah, $189 is what I paid for it. And it's, like I said, it's stock. No, I'm not going to do any modifications to it. I did spend, I know my time's up. I got to get out of here. I get where I talk too long now. I did spend quite a bit of time leveling the bed, or at least that's what they call it. It's not really level, but getting it level with the nozzle. And I went back and forth 4 or 5 times to make sure, because that's really the key to getting good prints, is making sure you've got that dialed in. Like I said, I just loaded that, pushed that filament in, hit the button, and let it go, and it came out. Like I said, I don't know. Like I say, you can't really see it that good, but it's nice and smooth. It's perfect right from the get go. So, all right, I'm going to get out of here. Everybody have a good Friday, and have a nice Easter weekend. If you're not doing nothing tomorrow night, come hang out with us on the Hobby CNC with Dave show. I'm going to be just doing a live Q&A type thing. Nothing fancy. But I've got, I don't lost track, 4 or 5 people that's going to come be on the panel, so it should be fun. The Wolfman will be there, I think. So anyway, we will see y'all there if you show up. And we'll be doing the giveaway for sure. And I'll be doing some more giveaways. I'm not going to tell you what it is right here, but I'll probably be talking about that tomorrow night too. Telling you about some additional giveaways that's going to be going on. So anyway, come check us out. And everybody have a good one. We'll see y'all Monday, I reckon. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise.